Norway's central bank is closely monitoring its currency after growing concerns over the strength and appreciation of the Norwegian Krone. Joining me now from Oslo is Chief FX Strategist Blomgren. Erica, the strong Norwegian Krone has been appreciating against the euro since late December and has been touching the highest level since September the 8th last year, when the Swiss National Bank's decision to set a floor on the euro Swissy prompted investors to seek alternative havens. Now, Norges Bank Governor Mr. Olsen has been voicing his concerns about the local currency. What do you make of some of his most recent comments?
It's been different messages from the central bank, because in his annual address, he was actually less dovish than expected by markets, opening up for the Norwegian Krone to become less of a concern going forward. In the near term, we saw some comments yesterday from the governor raising concerns that the strong krona will have monetary policy implications. Of course, when looking at the central bank's commenting, then one should be aware of that it's the trade-weighted krona that the central bank is looking after. And so far up until now, the trade-weighted krona has actually been weaker than the central bank has forecasted in its monetary policy report. So from that sense, since December, when we saw the krona started to strengthening, the central bank has been rather relaxed with the move lower in NOK. And now we're approaching levels where further krona strengthening will, of course, be more than what's projected by the central bank. So in that sense, these levels will start to become more stretched for the central bank. And I believe that's also why we saw some comments yesterday and can expect them to be repeated later today.
Norway is the world's 7th largest oil exporter, which means weaker demand from debt-ridden Europe and krona gains are prompting some challenges for the economy, such as the export sector. In terms of its repo rate, Norges Bank still has some leeway to lower interest rates. But is a rate cut over the next 12 months something you and your team at SEB are pricing in or not?
At the moment, we expect Norges Bank to remain on hold at 1.75%. Obviously, when looking at domestic factors, considering that from a relative perspective, the growth outlook in Norway is still rather solid, obviously helped by high activity in oil sector and oil investment, rather than any help from global demand from the export side. So, in terms of looking at growth close to trend, wage inflation around 4%, output gap almost closed, current rate levels is really low for the domestic economy. But obviously with Norges Bank still in the near term focusing on the krone from an inflation perspective, then they will keep basically interest rates in line with peers. So we expect ECB to remain on hold at 1%, which should mean that Norges Bank will leave its key deposit rate unchanged here at 1.75. Looking further ahead, going into 2013, then of course, given the strong domestic outlook and gradually rising inflation, that means that Norges Bank will have to accept wider interest rate differentials versus its main trading partners, and in that sense also start hiking rates ahead of peers.
Now, some analysts predict the Nordic currencies will depreciate against the dollar and the euro through at least the third quarter of 2012. Is this in line with your expectations at SEB?
Well, against the euro, we expect the krona to continue strengthening. We do see a long-term fair value close to the levels we're actually trading today. And considering the troublesome outlook for the euro, we expect this to global reserve managers to continue to diversify into Norwegian Krone, and of course the solid growth outlook, strong balance sheet of Norway to continue promote the krona, also helped by an okay risk sentiment going forward. Versus the dollar, we see that the euro-dollar forecast actually points much lower here. We do expect the euro to be the big loser in the race of the least ugly contest here between euro and dollar. So in that sense, our dollar NOK forecast actually points somewhat higher.
Thank you very much, Erica. Now, I'm afraid that's all we have time for today, but stay tuned to Dukas Copy TV for more exclusive interviews on financial news. Goodbye for now.